Good evening, dobro večer, dobrodošli, and welcome to the Oz Cro Soccer Show, episode 18. And it is an absolute pleasure to have your company with us tonight. My name is Tonči Prusac, and joining me as he does week in, week out on that side now, Josip Žilić Zilla. Good evening to you, mate. How are you?
Good evening and dobro večer to our viewers. Look, going good, mate. Looking forward to some football trying to get underway over here in not so sunny Queensland.
What is going on?
It's just
going on? Seriously.
Strange series of events. But look, there is some good news on the horizon, so I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. We've got some ripper stuff happening tonight. Big show for us planned. Mate, what have we got lined up for our loyal viewers tonight?
Oh, yes, Tunch, the hits keep coming, mate, and we'll do our usual wrap around the country to make sure that we inform all our viewers about what's going on east, west, north and south. But we have a big guest joining us, and when I say big, they don't come much bigger than this guy.
Literally.
Former Sydney Croatia, former Socceroo, AC Milan player, goalkeeper, ŽELJKO Spider Kalac, as Spider as is affectionately known, and he's coached around the traps at Sydney FC, Melbourne City, and he's now sitting at the third division Baška Voda, Urania Baška Voda, and just rescued them from a relegation. So we will have him join us. We're not too sure about the visuals, Tonch. We've got a little bit of connection issues with Croatia, but we're comfortable that we will have him on the audio at least.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll be coming to us directly live from Baška Voda. And if anyone has ever passed through Baška Voda, some of the best grilled Mediterranean-style fish you'll ever want to see. But it's an absolute coastal resort town.
Stop! I'm getting hungry, mate. Come on. Yeah. Stop. I'm kind of smelling it as you're saying it. I'm
geez, that waft. Yeah, absolutely.
Just off the Granadella with that Persian garlic rub.
Yep. If you are heading over to Croatia, do pop it in the chat. Let us know. What are you going to be doing over there? Because there is a lot of football happening in Croatia at the moment as the season is ending. We're going to have a huge roundup of everything that's happened and is about to happen this week in Croatian football. So much happening, and later on, as Josip said, we'll be talking to ŽELJKO KALAC, the ex-Socceroo, ex-Sydney Croatia legend, who is now plying his coaching trade in Croatia. And I'd just love to know whether they call him Palk or they call him Klokan. I'm sure they call him one or the other or both, but we'll find it straight from the horse's mouth. I'm
sure when they lose, they've got a few other expletives that they could be exploiting.
Oh, yeah. No
different kind of names they're using over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, are you a member of the Oz Cro Soccer Show? Sign up now, become a member, become a gold VIP member like Marko Maric. And the easiest way to do that is to go to www.patreon.com/Oz Cro Soccer Show. And for as little as $25 a month, your donation will be helping us in a big way deliver this program, this quality program that we hope to deliver week in, week out. Last week we had former MacArthur FC coach. We had Ante Milicic, and now we've got as we speak the big Spider. Yep, he is in the green room, and we can see his pretty face already getting ready to come on the show. He'll be in about a half an hour's time. But in the meantime, folks, we're going to take a very, very, very quick break, and it's straight into the news because there's a lot happening. And before we go, Josip, there is a progress score from Knights Stadium because Melbourne Knights are playing a catch-up game.
I'm just watching. They're about to take a corner. They're down 2-1 just in the start of the second half. They copped a couple of early goals, and Gian Albano came to the rescue halfway through the first half. So 2-1 down at the moment, 49th minute in.
Okay, we'll have regular score updates throughout the evening. Don't go away, folks. Straight after this, it's the Australian-Croatian Soccer Roundup. Back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show, episode 18. We are fast going towards that memorable 20th episode, and that'll happen in a few weeks' time. But in the meantime, mate, what is happening around the traps in Australian on the Australian Croatian soccer scene?
Yes, Tunch. We'll start in the sunshine northern state of Queensland. Not a great deal to report. So it's a nice quick one from Queensland. Nothing happened last week other than rain. There's supposed to be a Australia Cup match on tonight, but that got called off as well. So Gold Coast Knights will have to defer that one over with Penn Power in the coming weeks. And we're just starting to see some fixtures be rescheduled for this weekend because we're anticipating everything to be cleared up by Thursday. So fingers crossed, and God willing, we'll get the right outcome and we'll all get back on the park and enjoy some activities. I've been recommended a couple of options, Tonchi.
What's that?
We can go to training, do some knee slide competitions. So when activities start, we can get our goal celebrations all sorted out. But I sort of touted this one with a few families on the weekend that I caught up with. Stand-up paddleboard soccer. So we're on stand-up paddleboards. Yeah. Got a bigger ball on a creek or a pool somewhere, and it's a knockout style. You got the rubber ends. You can knock people out.
Too much spare time on your hands, Mr. Gilles. Too much spare time on your hands.
That's what happens when football stops.
Yeah, but over in WA, the football is continuing. Unfortunately, not so well for ŽELJKO Croatia.
Yeah, look, Guelup's still finding things very difficult to come by, and the wins too difficult to come by. A 7-0 shellacking at the hands of Perth FC. Next week, they face bottom spot Balcatta. Yes, Guelph are not actually last. They're second last, but they're both on 1 point. So here's an opportunity, Guelph supporters and players. Dig deep, get yourselves a win, and see if you can start turning your form around. The Guelph women, who are sitting second last at the moment as well, they had a 1-1 draw with Perth AFC. I've got to do a call out here, Tonch. Football West's update of scores and fixtures is probably the worst in the country. They just got to put some concentration into it, mate. It's awful. Thank you to Matt Jurčević. If you're listening in, Matt, or if you listen to this later, without Matt Jurčević, Tonch, we'd be stuffed.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I can't go around hassling people at Clubland. We know what it's like at Clubland, Tonch. Everyone's busy chasing their tails all week long. And you just rely on a football federation just to do a simple update of scores that happened 5 days ago, So
yeah. And it's disappointing, mate. Like, I know down in Victoria we have the same problem. But apparently in Victoria it's the referees that are supposed to update the scores. Clubs can then thereafter go in and update, goal scorers and things like that. But the referees are the first port of call. I'm not so sure that that's being done, and I'm not so sure that that's actually the case because particularly junior games, a lot of junior games are being refereed without referees. So then it's up to the home club to do it, but it's not happening. But what do you do? Anyway, we move on. Western Knights.
Let's plough along. Western Knights, though, they found themselves with a frustrating draw this week against Rockingham. They're pushing for winning ways as they face Uni Western Australia this week, so they can return from third to second if they get the right result this week. So good luck, Knights. Over in South Australia, Adelaide Raiders, they had a gutsy 1-1 draw with second place Para Hill Knights. Now, Para Hill Knights gave them a bit of a touch-up last time around, so it's good to see them sort of just steer in the right direction. I think Para Hill knocked them out of the the cup, if I'm correct. And so they're holding on to their 5th place. They've got a bit of comfort there, but shouldn't get too comfortable with it because the teams underneath them are starting to narrow the margins with these draws occurring. And they face 9th spot Adelaide Victory. Good luck, Raiders. Their women had an ugly 9-0 loss, though, to Modbury and remained 3rd last. The Vukovi boys, they had a hit out this week. The 4A team had a big loss, 6-0 to Modbury Vista. Whilst the 4B guys, they got over the line in a tight one, 3-2.
Is that like A division, B division? Is it 4A, 4B? Or is that the reserves or seniors?
Yeah, they must split it to like a Masters and a Veterans or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Over to the Apple Isle.
All right. Apple Isle, and things are quite rosy and sunny over there in Glenorchy Knights Land. The men smashed Riverside Olympic. I don't know if you had the Facebook video grab of that team goal that they did during the week.
No, unfortunately not. No.
There was a nice bit of play. It was about an interchange of about 6 or 7 passes. They just made their way through the with all one-touch football and finished inside the 6-yard box. It was beautiful to watch. 6-0 win over Riverside Olympic, and they head off to Devonport to face the top team. And they can close that gap on them and start looking, and with that game in hand, looking pretty to try and overcome the top spot on Devonport Strikers. The women's team, the 2 teams there, they had their round 8, the 4th position for their championship side. They had a 2-1 win over Clarence Zebras, and their championship 1 side had a 5-2 win over Tauruna. So keep up the good work, ladies.
Well done. And on to the ACT before we take a break. What is happening in the nation's capital?
Look, O'Connor Knights, you got a feel for these guys. They've had 5 games in 15 days, mate. And it's the scheduling there has. Why would you do this to a team, irrespective of cup rounds and catch-ups and things like that? Why schedule a cup round if the guys are looking for a catch-up game? Like, do one or the other, but don't smash these semi-pro teams with 5 games in 15 days. Not even the pros do that, right? Look, they ran into issues. They ran into issues, mate. Personnel-wise, they were down on 7 players, right? And they went and that sort of sums up the situation. They went down 7-1 in that game against Belconnen, and Belconnen's a lowly club too. So, no disrespect to Belconnen, but look, O'Connor Knights is a much better side than that when we've seen it on display as well. So hopefully they can pick themselves up and recover from those injuries they've been copping from the overloaded games. The women's team likewise copped a 7 goals this week and a 7-2 loss to Bell West Foxes. Canberra, Croatia, though, they keep up their winning form all round, mate. The club's just absolutely on fire. They have wins through all age groups and including their women's team. So they keep up their form. A 3-1 win to the seniors against West Canberra Wanderers. I was going to say West Coast Coolers. Their next clash is at home to Olympic, and that's a big one. Olympic, if you don't know, Tauncha, for those uninitiated, Canberra Olympic, they have a big following in Canberra, mate, and they do a really good job. I've been to a couple of games there over the years in my younger years, and if it's anything like it was back then, my memory of that was that you walk away, you're feeling like you've been in Oakley.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, when you go to Oakley and the shops in Oakley and there's souvlaki bars everywhere, there's just char grilled lamb everywhere, as far as the eye can see. Yep.
Goodness me.
The Canberra women, they've got a big clash on their hands too, mate. They're facing the Canberra United NPL side. Now the A-League club, they have the women's A-League club. They have an NPL side, and they're off to face them after a 2-1 win over Gungahlin. So well done, ladies, and good luck to everyone. And so far, we'll head out to our break, Donch.
We will indeed. It's a short break. We're not going to take long, and when we return, we're going to go to Victoria, and we'll even have a score update with regards to that Melbourne Knights Oakley Cannons game happening tonight. Welcome back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. And before we go on to the rest of the news roundup, have we got a score update from Knight Stadium, Josipe?
Yes, mate. 59th or 60th minute now. It's still down 2-1. And I just watched the referee give a walk out his 10 paces for a free kick. I'm buying real estate off this bloke. I reckon if it seemed like 17 metres. It was huge.
Maybe.
But an interesting stat. Interesting stat popped up on the screen. The guys that had 10 shots on target to Oakley's 5. So they're not short of chances. They just got to start putting some more in the net.
And that's been the problem with the Melbourne Knights all season. They just seem to create chances just towards that last kind of third. They struggle down. Speaking of Victoria, what is going on in our Garden State? I guess what do you want to call it, for want of a better word. What is going on?
Absolute gigantic amount of updates going on here, mate. Gorspitch Div 2 Metro. They'll take on Craigieburn this week at home after fifth place Bears came away from Altona with a 1-1 draw. Their Masters team also had a 1-1 draw with Westside Strikers sitting in sixth spot, and they face Point Cook this week. So good on your Bears. Keep up the good work there. Strathmore men, they were away to Clifton Hill last week and experienced the first loss under Mickey C's reign. They remain at the bottom, looking to turn that around against Keilor this week. Their women's in sixth place, had a bye this week, and they're looking to climb the ladder against Epping with a good opportunity there for the ladies. The Metro 2 Div 2 guys at Strathmore are at Newmarket this week, following a 4-2 loss to North Sunshine, who is top of the pops in that league there. And that puts them in ninth spot now. The Masters, the kings of sexy football, are at home to Lalor Slugger. And if anyone's ever been out to the northern suburbs with a game with Lalor Slugger, they'll know it's always an entertaining affair. Very close to the pitch with the spectators there, so it's always a bit spicy on the sidelines. And the kings of sexy football.
From the kebapi on the sidelines, the spiciness.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a bit of the diatribe coming from the fans. And they were held 0-0 by Latrobe Linear last week, so it's their first little blemish, but they still sit on top of the ladder comfortably, so good luck, guys. Vukovar, they had a 2-1 win over Paran City Football Club, and NK Bunker, they play tomorrow night against the Melbourne University Angels.
Midweek fixtures.
Yeah, interesting for Vic Soccer, yeah. Over to NPL land and North Geelong, NPL 2 leaders, they continue their winning ways, mate. A 2-0 at halftime down. I guess you could probably say that, when you're away to Bulleen, a top team like that, you're staring at 2-0 and it's going to be a mammoth task to come back. Stupidly, the ground announcer decided to make an announcement to say that they've broken North Geelong's 7-game winning streak. Well, you know what happens when you do that, mate.
As we can see on the footage now, a comeback of gigantic proportions. It was from 0-2 down. There you go in the 70th minute to a complete transformation. And just keep watching, folks, for the goals just keep coming and coming and coming. John Pikett scored the first one, was responsible for the second one, which was a penalty, which we see very, very shortly. Ryan Opperman, the captain, stepped up to take that. And then thereafter, I think Caleb Mikulic scored virtually in stoppage time, and there he's brought down. Johnny English, as he's called, in reference to his English background. He looked really, really pumped. And there's the captain, Opperman, stepping up to take the free kick. They have been absolutely amazing. And look, obviously we're biased, naturally coming from North Geelong. But watching North Geelong most weeks, they are playing an entertaining brand of football. And the man that we're about to see on screen is, at the moment, the golden boot of the league, Caleb Mikulic. He scored, I think, 10 goals in 9 games, something like that, or 11 goals in 10 games.
11 in 10,
Yeah, he's just an absolute class act. He's got that I think that the wind under his wings, as they say, and that's all. He's just found a new lease of life. And look, they are NPL bound next year. Hopefully, all 3 of the Croatian-backed clubs in the NPL can survive. As we're seeing at the moment, 64th minute, still the Knights are 1-2 down to Oakley. Knights and Dinamo seem to be thereabouts, safe away from the relegation zone. But how are Dandenong City travelling? They've really had kind of a bit of a tough time, I suppose. But let's go to Dandenong City first, and how are they going?
Let's finish off. Let's finish on. Oh well.
Oh, sorry, my apologies.
We'll go there. Well, Dandenong City coming off a 2-1 loss away to Melbourne Knights are getting on the scorer sheet. They're playing some better football in terms of resoluteness in the way they go about things. They're not as wayward as they were when they were leaking goals in a few different ways. But look, they're just not able to hold out. Melbourne Knights, credit to them, they worked and toiled away, and they made it hard for Dandenong City. So, and look, they're up against it this week again in another Crow derby, Dandy, and they face St Albans. So that's going to be an interesting. And they're on Saturday Arvo at home at Frank Holohan. And look, whilst we're talking about Dandy, let's there's the promo there up for the Dandy v Dinamo game at Saturday afternoon. So all Croatians around Melbourne, Victoria, make your way down there. All roads lead to Dandenong this week.
Yes, absolutely.
The Dandy women, whilst we're speaking of Dandy, are away to Doveton this week. The 5th place ladies team had a 5-2 loss to Noble Park last week, unfortunately. So whilst we didn't get to finish on North Geelong, mate, the 6th place women's team, they had a 3-1 loss to Essendon on Sunday, and this week are away to bottom side Elwood. And the local league, Elko Park Cardinals, had a 5-2 loss in Div 1 and no match in Div 2. Now, Dandy City's opponents, St Albans, they had another loss last week, the men's team. They're having some struggles of late. They went down to Port Melbourne, and then Port Melbourne's up there in the top 3. Look, their tasks at this stage don't get any easier. You're going to come up against a team like Dandy, who are starting to show an ability to score, starting to show some resoluteness in the middle of the park. So Dynamo's going to have to dig deep on this one and try and resurrect some form for themselves. The Crow derbies, as we know, are always an exciting affair. There's always some entertainment on the offer. It's just going to be a case of a flip of a coin on this one, Tunch.
Form goes out the window, doesn't it? It really does.
It does. St Albans women's team sitting 7th. They had a 3-0 loss to Spring Hills on the weekend and head to Ballarat this week, mate. Back to Melbourne Knights, 67th minute and still down 1-2, mate. So they continue to toil away there. Over the weekend, the Knights women had another loss last week against Casey, 2-1. Sitting in 8th spot, they take on 5th place Geelong Galaxy this week. So they're away at Hume Reserve. Tont, you can stick your nose in and have a look there, mate.
The men's just team around the corner, literally. Yeah,
the men's team, they had, as we heard earlier, they had a 2-1 win over Dandy. Now sitting in 9th spot, and this weekend are away to perennial thorn in your side, Avondale. And don't we love a win against Avondale?
We do. I think we all do. Now, Josip, before we move on, North Geelong, getting back to North Geelong, this weekend they're having a reunion round. So they're welcoming all past and present players, coaches, committee members. For the first time ever, the Warriors are hosting a reunion round. So it's this Saturday, 28th of May, at Elko Park. And the message there is reminisce the good old days and celebrate how far we have come as a community. See you there. And I have got it on good inside information that there is going to be a story in the local daily this Friday about the reunion day, and there's going to be some photos of some past and present dignitaries at Elko Park. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be happening.
Any chance it's going to be a match of the round televised on Clutch, mate?
No, unfortunately not. Looks like the schedule is that Monday night's game. I think Kingston and could it be Pascoe Vale or someone like that? Moreland City. Oh no, it's not Moreland City. Of course not. Could be. Who's Kingston playing? Is it Bulleen or Pascoe Vale? I'm not too sure. No. It's a Monday night game, unfortunately. So probably good in a way because it probably means more people will turn up to the game instead of stay home, and especially if it's a cold, windy, wet day. You know,
I'm just being selfish from my perspective, mate.
Oh, of course. You might have to talk to some of your family connections there to organise a live stream, maybe. You know,
maybe get someone up on the gantry and just put their phone out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Why not? Mate, moving along to New South Wales. New South Wales continues to be sort of a funny place. In some places, it's very, very wet. In some places, it's still football's able to go on. It's a big state, New South Wales. What's going on over there?
Let's go to the easier reports, mate. South Coast United washed out.
Oh no,
They're going.
no! Yagni Doody, seriously. How many weeks is it?
It's been quite a lot. They got the hopeful prospect now of playing 9th place Winona. So let's hope that takes place. Newcastle washed out. Their 3rd division has a bye this week. Imagine that, after a washout, you got to buy.
You got to buy. No, that's the ultimate kick in the groin. But yeah. they are very lucky. Whilst the rest of the grounds around the Hunter Valley are out of action, Newcastle Croatia, kako godoć, have got a facility there at the Croatia Wickham Sports Centre. They basically transformed their bowling green into a mini soccer pitch, and it's absolutely brilliant. There's some photos, floodlighting, able to use it as a mini ruse pitch, whatever you want to call it. But how good is that?
No, it's perfect, mate. It's a nice size for the guys to have a train on, and at least they can get out and kick a ball. Like many other clubs aren't unfortunate enough to do that, and good on them.
Yeah. Now, whilst we're on the subject of Newcastle and the Croatian community there, during the week it was reported that they are looking at resurrecting the Folklorna Grupa, whatever the folkloric group from up there. Now, how good is that? It obviously is very, very exciting for the Croatian community in Newcastle. Newcastle, what is it? Newcastle. Yeah. We've had the resurrection, or I guess the resurrection, resuscitation, whatever you want to call it, of the football club, and now the folkloric group. So it's great to see the second, third generation up in the Hunter Valley really doing well, and the Croatian community seems to be getting a new lease of life, which is absolutely awesome. So congrats to everyone involved up there.
Bodes really well because their festa that they're going to kick off is in November. So, look, fingers crossed they get the Folklorna Skupina up in time for that event, and other people that come along too will get to see how Newcastle's Croatian community is clicking.
Oh, well, could that possibly be right in the midst of the World Cup? Oh, geez, how good would that be then?
Oh, yeah, that's good planning, isn't it?
You never know. Never know. That's right. Warrington, Croatia.
Warrington, Croatia. Oh, we can go. Yeah, we've got the Denzel Park first, mate. The M League Women's take on Liverpool this week, sitting in 3rd last without a win. So good luck to them. And that's another unfortunate website that doesn't do a great job. So we'll do our best to hunt around for this information. So bear with us. Warrington happily shared some information throughout the week. They had a 4-3 win for their under-16 girls, and I don't know, Tunch, if you had that visual there, but there was very happy faces going around the under-16 Warrington girls side. So well done, girls. Over in Hurstville, the big news this week was the men's team will face the winner of Sydney United v Rockdale in the last 16 of the state-based cup. That's going to be an absolute blockbuster affair. First of all, between Sydney United and Rockdale, they have to be in closed door situations for about 4 or 5 more games.
Yeah.
But that's one blockbuster. But immediately followed will be whoever faces Hurstville will have another blockbuster on their hands. So as we know, Hurstville's had a ripper of a year, and the part I'm looking forward to is the commentary. So I'm looking forward to the live feed, and Ante Grabovic's on there giving us the best of his abilities, mate. Look, the men's team at Hurstville, they had a bye on the weekend, and this week they'll face off with Camden Tigers. So good luck, guys. Their women's 17s, 21s. The ladies drew 1-1 against second place Bexley, and they were leading 1-0 with only a few minutes to go, but unfortunately conceded right at the end of the game. But the coaching staff did report that they were delighted with the girls' efforts, and taking on a bigger club like Bexley, who's a bit more established in their women's team. Well done, girls, for edging your way towards that result. And we'll finish up with Sydney United, mate. Home to Sutherland Sharks this week. They had a massive 4-3 win on the weekend. I say massive in terms of the actual win itself. It was 2-2 at halftime. They went down 3-2 and then got themselves up for the win at 4-3. Tough conditions in Wollongong, blustery, windy, rainy, all sorts of conditions occurring. But
rainy in Wollongong? No.
They played the game at
possibly
the
be.
synthetic
Did
pitch
they?
at Ian McClelland over at South Coast United, which beggars belief why South Coast United themselves don't use it. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly. Exactly.
Anyway, so
Mate, we're
tomorrow
going to take
night is their match against Rockdale. So good luck, Sydney Croatia.
Good stuff, mate. Well done. A lot of work goes into preparing that every week. So it's an incredible amount of work that, as I said, goes into preparing that. So Josip, a job well done. We're going to take a very, very quick break, folks, and then we're going to go preko mora, preko gora, as they say, back to Croatia, and there's a lot happening, obviously, in Croatia. So we're going to cover that, what's happened and what is happening. Don't go away.
Are you one of those people that just pays their business insurance each year? Insurance is the last thing we want to worry about when running our business day to day, unless there is a claim that needs to be made, right? And once we have our insurance in place, we just keep renewing it. We just find it too hard to shop around. Does that sound like you? Well, at Your Business Insurance, we could save you money and get you a better deal. We'll review your current insurance and determine if you're getting the most favourable offers from the insurance market. Call Your Business Insurance on 1300 767 456.
Nogometne sezone donosi spektakl na polju. Finale Supersport Hrvatskog nogometnog kupa. Nakon najboljeg plasmana u Ligi 10, Hajduk želi do trofeja kojeg nema od 2013. Rijeke u pohodu na 7. naslov pobjednika kupa. Tko će podignuti Rabuzinovo sunce? Tko će slaviti u velikom finalu? Armada ili Torcida? Goran Tomić ili Valdas Dambrauskas? Rijeka ili Hajduk? Četvrtak, 26. svibnja. Emisija uoči utakmice od 17:30. Finale Supersport Hrvatskog nogometnog kupa s Poljuda uživo na Hrvatskoj nogometnoj televiziji i našem YouTube kanalu od 19 sati. Jer nogomet je kod nas uvijek bio najvažnija stvar.
And they say, why is soccer so important to the Croatians? Najvažnija stvar, exactly. The Croatian Cup final, Josipe, that's about the only thing left of the current domestic season. Everything has pretty much wrapped up after the weekend, and what a weekend it was. We had the big Dinamo Hajduk derby. Interesting game. Hajduk was losing. Then they equalised through Livaja, scoring his 28th goal. And absolute smashing records of, for I think it was like something like 4 decades or something like that. And then Hajduk went all out. Dabrauskas said, let's go for a win, and left themselves exposed. And 2 late goals in the in stoppage time saw Dinamo run out 3-1 winners and celebrate in front of 18,000 fans, and probably about 50 Hajduk fans. They were probably in the VIP salon, but the Hajduk supporters decided, well, out of protest, not to enter, and then there was all sorts of chaos all around Zagreb. But we won't go into that. We'll go into the what happened on the field. And congrats to Dinamo. But Hajduk, it all goes well for firstly a ripper cup final against Rijeka in the wee hours of Friday morning, and then obviously next season should be quite amazing. But there's the list of goal scorers, Josipe. Now, what's the common denominator? There's 11 names there. What's the common denominator? And don't tell me the common denominator is that they play in the Croatian Prva Liga. But what's the common denominator in your eyes of those 11 goal scorers, top goal scorers?
Yeah, well, it looks like the Eka's got the lion's share of the scorers there, mate.
Yeah, yep. But they're all Domaći, basically. They're all locals. There are no imports there. Oh, if you consider maybe Beha, but Marko Livaja, Drmić, Beljo. Drmić, I think, is a Swiss or something like that. But he's Croatian at the end of the day. My point is in years gone by, there have been so many foreigners that have come to Croatia because Croatia just didn't seem to have the right strikers, the attackers. And as soon as there was an attacker, a striker that was half good, they'd get sold abroad. But you look at that is amazing to see, and it's something that augurs well for the future of Croatian football. But when you've got young players like Marko Dabro, now I think he's gone overseas. Marin Jakolic, he's gone overseas. Mislav Oršić, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Who knows? But the interesting one there is Dion Drena Beljo. Now, he's actually an Osijek player on loan to Istra, scored 15 goals. Dinamo apparently have been trying to get him. Hajduk have been trying to get him. There's Italian clubs that have been trying to get him. He's decided to stay put. He's going to go back to Osijek. Now, look at this. Next year, you've got Beljo as your striker. You've got Christian Lovric on one wing. You've got, what's his name, Fiolic on the other. Then you've got Saktash as like that number 10, that attacking.
Yeah.
What an attacking side that is. That is going to be a ruthless attacking team next year.
Yep.
And if they can pick up maybe one or two really quality defenders to shore up that maybe leaky defence, mate, they're going to be a pretty darn good side next year. That's for sure.
Yeah, look, a couple of sort of like, you'd probably call them, mental concentration type slip-ups in the latter stages of the year. Probably cost them that opportunity to really push Dinamo right to the edge there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, moving along to the so there was another significant thing that happened recently, not that long ago, is all the clubs came together and they decided, okay, we're going to start splitting the money from next season's TV rights. Now, for the first time since the Croatian League was formed, there's going to be dividends, or there's going to be money that's going to be split up from TV rights. So this tells you just how attractive the Croatian League is becoming. And the Prvo Ligaši, all the first division clubs, came together and they said, look, this is how we're going to podijeli it. So obviously the champion gets the most, and then it goes in sort of a descending order, if you like. But even the 10th place team will get 4.8 million kuna. Now, divide that by 4 kuna to $1 is what is $1 Australian dollar. Even that is about $1.2, $1.3 million Australian that they're going to get. Now, imagine the old NSL clubs were able to get that money. Geez, that would have been absolutely fantastic,
Even handy in its
even
day.
something like that.
Yeah, especially when you hear a story like last week where Teza mentioned how they had to sell Teza to Sydney Olympic just to save the club. Imagine having that sort of media money. It wouldn't have to go through those situations, right?
Yeah. That interview with Ante Milicic, if you missed it, you didn't get a chance to see it last week, go onto our YouTube channel, Oz Cro Soccer Show, and we've got a heap of archived interviews and episodes going back right through to the very, very first one. In fact, the pilot episode, we had a pilot episode last year in December with Jure Dragovic, the president of the Australian Croatian Soccer Association. Yep. So if you've missed out on anything, do go back into the archives. There's some wonderful interviews there. The one with Teza, that was a brilliant one last week. He did speak about how he's planning on going back to Croatia and hopefully catching up with his former teammate, ŽELJKO Kalac, with whom we are going to be catching up very, very shortly, folks. So don't go away. We'll be talking about that. But the Druga Liga, let's go to the Druga Liga, Josipe. Who's promoted into the first division?
Look, Varaždin gets the biscuits at the end there, mate. They got themselves out of the line with the game to go, but there's no denying. Well done, Varaždin, consistent throughout the year, and we didn't let it slip at any stage in these last probably 8 or 9 weeks, mate. Rudeš pushed hard all the way, but look, it bodes well for them for next year. But look, like as you can see from those photos, and we've talked about it through the year, Varaždin has a good supporter base.
5,000 fans, yeah. There were 5,000 fans to watch that last one.
Too. Yeah, and so look, when you've got a club like that has the enthusiastic support, it's going to make the competition even more exciting.
Mate, this season has just finished, and I can't wait for next season to start. It's going to be awesome. The third division is also going to undergo a reconstruction, so that will be interesting to see how that happens as well. But look, so much to happen. And look, one thing that we also have to mention, the Hajduk Dinamo game was officiated by a 27-year-old referee. This is throwing someone in at the deep end. His name is Patrik Kolaric. 27 years old. And look, not much has been said about him apart from, praises from particular a lot of ex-referees. And they're saying, look, the guy did a very good job. It's such a cauldron having to referee a game and officiate a game between Hajduk and Dinamo. But look, watch out for this guy, 27-year-old Patrick Kolaric. He's refereed, I think, 3 or 4 games or something like that. But this was obviously his first derby. Brilliant. Well done to the youngster. So something to obviously look forward to in years to come. The other thing I wanted to mention...
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Maybe you're going to say the same thing I was going to say.
Oh, look, the other thing I was going to mention, and this, I think, explains just... I don't know. There's always been this, what's this word, argument or here in Australia about promotion relegation. And should we have promotion relegation? Why is promotion relegation good, or why is it? Orient on the weekend, they had a big win. They ended up beating Dubrava. What was the score? Croatia Zmijavci away. They beat them 5-1. Now, that means they've kept their dream alive of avoiding the relegation zone. Kept it. They haven't been saved from relegation. They've kept their dreams alive. Look at the footage after the game. Now, you'd think that they'd actually won the league. They've just won a game that's probably got them just that one step away from the relegation zone. And that's what it means. Now, could you imagine that they actually survive relegation, because they've got a pretty important game, I think, coming up in the last round. I think they're playing Opatia, the bottom side Opatia. So you're expecting that almost to be a shoo-in. Dugopolje have got a tough game. I think it's against... is it Rudesh? No, I can't remember now off the top of my head. But we'll find that out in a sec. But that would mean that Orient, if they were to win, they could probably jump up 3 or 4 spots.
Yep.
And that's why promotion relegation. That's why we need that in this country. I tell you what, that sort of cutthroat.
I was gonna more so point to Tsibalia on its way to survival there, but yeah, your point is true, mate. Look at that. It's between 6th right down to 13th, and there's 2 points in it. So anyone slips up there, and they could find themselves dropping 7 spots.
Yeah. I mean, it's just such a what's the word? There is just no error, no room for error. Mate. Yeah, no Tsibalia taking on Croatia Zmijavci. So this is obviously going to be super, super important. Orient at home to Opatia, so they're at home now. That's going to be a big thing that they're at home. And then Dugopolje take on Rudesh at home. So Rudesh obviously will want to finish the season in winning form. They're not going to take it easy lying down. Dugopolje have got a big game at home. It's a massive game. There's about 3 or 4 games that could go either way. Now, Solin are away to Inter Zaprešić, who is the inform of recent months, in fact. Zaprešić now in 3rd position. So, I tell you what, unless these teams decide to have completely reserve teams, youth teams and what you're not, which could possibly happen, it is going to be a very interesting final day in the 2nd division next year. So, there we go. There we've got the fixtures there, as we see. Sesvete, Jarun, Tsibalia, Croatia, Zmijavci, a big one there. Dubrava, Varaždin, Debraba, Dugopolje, Rudesh, a really important one there. Orient Opatia, as we mentioned, and then down the bottom, Zaprešić at home to Solin. So some very, very important games coming up on the weekend. Hey, we're going to take a break.
Couple more things.
Return, oh, yes, more things, yes.
All Croatian clubs have survived in Bosnia and Herzegovina, so that's a good thing, mate.
Yes,
none of them can drop. And update at Melbourne Knights, 89th minute. They've blown a couple of chances in these last 5 minutes. They're still down 2-1. but they're putting the pressure on. So look, could be a grandstand finish.
Go Knights, go Knights. There's still some time left there. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to go over to Croatia and catch up with former Sydney Croatia legend, ex-Socceroo superstar, and he is now the coach of NK Urania Baška Voda, ŽELJKO KALAC. Don't go away, folks. It's the Oz Cro Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. It's time for us to introduce our guest this week. They don't come any larger than this in stature and in their performances over their years. Coming in as a young man into the Sydney Croatia lineup, he jumped into the frame between the sticks and never looked back. He's taken on his career at Sydney Croatia. He grew into his role. Got himself into the national squads and then found himself overseas with short stints in the UK before he ended up at AC Milan, play under the tutelage of none other than Carlo Ancelotti, who's in the Champions League this weekend. And then playing days wrapped up, found himself at Sydney FC, Melbourne City, and now in the lovely, lovely sunny side waters of Baška Voda, NK Urania Baška Voda. Welcome to the show, ŽELJKO.
How are you, boys? All good?
Oh, not as good as you, mate.
Very
You've
good,
already
mate.
got the tan happening from the early start of summer over in Croatia. How is Baška Voda this time of year?
Yeah, it's pretty nice out there. I got to admit, the Buddha's awoken today. It's decided it wanted to get busy a little bit. We've got about 29 degrees, but the Buddha is having a bit of fun out there today. But it'll be all good tomorrow.
That's the way, mate. How did it all come about? When we last spoke to you on our sister program, the Football Out West show, you just left Greece. After being with Tony Popovic there at Xanthi, and then went to Croatia for a bit of a break. And how did everything eventuate that you ended up then coaching a third division side, Urania?
Basically got thrown under the bus by a mate of mine, Stephen Torpic, who's been over here, and they were in dire straits. They were dead and buried, and he played there for 6 or 7 years. And they've got a 100-year anniversary this year, so they said, "Please come and help us. You're here anyway." And that's how it eventuated. I took over. I went and watched one game that they played against Split. They lost 5-0 at home, and oh my God, it was like this is an impossible job. But we took it on, grabbed the bull by the horn, and off we went. And it was an experience. Let me give you the tip. It was an experience of a lifetime. I've never seen anything like this in football. Anything.
Oh,
what I've
really?
seen here. Oh, mate, chaos. Absolute chaos. Like
good. I was going to say good, bad, or ugly, but I think you've just answered my question there.
We ended up. I come in. They had 1 point. They'd scored 3 goals and conceded 46. And that was 7 games to go before the halfway break, before we even got to December. And then from there, we ended up getting to 9 points before Christmas. We got to 9 points, and I actually told the club, I said, these 9 points will get us safe. I said, because the second half of the season we'll get 20-odd points, and that'll be enough. And that's how it was. We put together, we got them fit, structure, organisation. I got rid of, mate, a shitload of foreign players that were just no good. and just brought in Croat boys that wanted to play and wanted to work and listen. And to be fair, the boys were great. The boys were great. It's a good level. You know, I think they underestimated the level of the league. That they thought players could come from outside, from lower levels, and they just can't. But and really, to save ourselves with, we beat Otok last week, which was the nail in the coffin for Otok, and that was incredible. Like I really did think it would go down to the last game, because we were 11 points behind them when I come in, and to finish 8 points ahead of them was pretty amazing.
That's a superb result, I think. Is this a gig that you're planning on taking on for another season, or how do you think? Undecided.
We'll see. Look, the main objective this year was so they didn't get relegated. That was the main thing, and we made a miracle happen, and we've achieved that. And now we'll see what the club wants to do. It's not easy to get good players in. And they're all about results here as well. And when I come in and wanted to play football, and they're pulling their hair out, playing out from the back and stuff like that, they'll go, no. I said, mate, just play football. I think it's a very good level for young players, like for 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. I think it's a very good level for them. And if you can build your side around young players like that, with 4 or 5 experienced players around the 26, 27, 28 years old that are good characters, it's actually a very good platform.
Now, sorry, Josip. I
was going to say, look, in comparison to the leagues that you've seen here in Australia before you parted for Croatia, would you have a comparison league that you could compare it against?
It's MPL level. It's MPL one, like the top teams in these HNL 3, they're good sides. They've got money behind them. They're good sides. It's MPL level. It's hard to say to you, like, mate, Urania Baška Voda, for example, if they played against my Sydney United team would give them 7 komada.
Yeah.
But now towards the end of the season, Sydney United would still win, but maybe by 2. But this team was built very poorly. The top teams are Jadran Ploče and Primorac Beograd and Zadar. They're good sides, very good sides.
Good. And Primorac Beograd, as we know, Tonj, young Nicholas Valarovic is over there, who's come over from North Geelong.
He's at Stobric. Primorac Stobric.
Oh, he's at Stobric. Oh, sorry,
That's the 4th tier, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, there's so many Primoraces there over there.
Yeah.
But the Treća Liga is actually going to get restructured. So for those not in the know, up until now there were 5 divisions of about anywhere between 14 and 16 clubs all around the country. Next year there's going to be a unified Treća Liga, and then the 4th divisions are going to splinter off and what you're not. What's happening with that? How many teams from the Treća Liga, the Jug, are going to go into this unified group, or are they sort of still waiting up and tossing up all the criteria and what you're not?
Yeah, and this is the problem, and this is probably why I haven't decided on what we're going to do yet. Everyone's waiting for the same thing. Everyone's waiting to see what this Treća Jedinstvena is going to look like. Now, with what I've seen, just being here, this 3rd division is actually very good. Now, I don't know what the Treća Jedinstvena is going to look like. It could be very good if it's trained for professional players. I just don't understand where they're going to get the money from. Like, good teams in the 3rd division in Croatia spend 2 million kune, 2.2 million kune.
Yep.
Hey, that's a lot of money, and that's only playing in their areas. Like my furthest trip from here, okay, I'm a little bit central, so Dubrovnik, we still got 2.5 hours to Dubrovnik. We still got 2.5 hours to Posadarje, near Zadar. So there's still travel. So this 3rd division, you're going to have, ne znam, here in the 3rd division, Zadar can definitely go in that. They got everything that needs to go. Junak Sin can definitely go in it. Neretva can definitely go in it, but I don't know if they'd want to, because it costs money. I've heard that the Savez is going to support for the first 2 years, but guys, the 2nd division spend about 3 million kune a year. I don't know how they survive. How's the 3rd division going to survive? Financially, I don't know how they're going to do it. I really don't know.
Interesting and enigmatic times ahead in Croatian football. Josipe.
So cool. But look, it's interesting that you compare it to NPL structure over here. Well, in terms of managing a side, when you've managed sides here, like at Sydney United, and you've been involved in the coaching sidelines, assisting and goalkeeping coaching, how in-depth and hands-on do you have to be in the role like this here, say in comparison to managing Sydney United? Is it like for like, or do you have to get a little bit more dirty?
It's like for like. I was lucky when I was at Sydney United. I had Mark Ivancic and Sam Krislic behind me, so they basically just said, "Starty, do what you want." Here in Croatia, everyone's Mourinho. Oni svi znaju, a nemaju pojma. Nemaju pojma. Nemaju pojma, svi znaju sve. Samo i pijete.
So are we talking about the club administrators?
Sounds like a T-shirt for the tournament. Svi znaju, a nema pojma.
Man, and that's what it's like here. If you talk to them, they're all talking about players, and like you would think that they've had my career and I played for the cellar. That's when you talk to them. That's what it's like. So it's hard work. Oh, mate, it was an experience and a half, let me tell you. But yeah, lucky we got strong character, and we don't bend over for anyone. So at the end, it was a great experience to see what it's like to work with these people over here. And I think the higher you go, normally the better it's structured. Like you go to Zadar, they got the right people in every department. Baška's only a small town. Like it's only a small club, and it really is. It's a beautiful club for young players to play football. And as the people say, and as the mayor said to me, all we want is to guštat in our team. So we don't want to be in this position where we're fighting for relegation. If we're sitting in the middle of the table, make guštating, we can have roštilje, we win at home. Ako uzmemo nešto away from home, we take something away from home. But that's what you're dealing with here. Everyone's a Mourinho.
But it looks like like getting back to Baška Voda. I mean, it looks like a very, very picturesque stadium. I've sort of my experience of Baška Voda is going from Metković towards Split, just stopping off there and having the best grilled fish I can ever recall. That was several years ago. But look, it's got a homage to Vukovar. It's got the red, white, blue seats. Must be a very, very patriotic style club, which is. Would that be a fair summation?
Big Croats. Big
Croats. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. Big Croats in Croatia.
The mayor, my first meeting with the mayor when I took over, he said, "Mate, I've heard about you. I know what kind of person you are, but the main thing is I heard you're a massive Croatian. I to je za mene dobro." So, no, it's a beautiful club.
Bottom drawer.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful, beautiful club, and really, it can be a platform for a lot of young players to go on and have careers. At the moment, it wasn't in great shape, but the second half of the season, we now actually look like a club. Now we have to see what's going to happen with these divisions. You know, what's going to happen with the Jedinstvena. Where are we going to be? Which player is going to go where? So everyone's sort of in the same sort of position, waiting to see what the structure is going to look like.
Now, you did mention... Sorry, I'll see if
maybe you're saying the same thing, Tonch, but you're...
Probably, I reckon.
Yeah, you mentioned the young players a few times. Would you say that this is an environment that if a young player from Australia who can't find their way through the pathway in this country, as you know, it's not the best at the moment, and venture out to somewhere like the third tier of Croatian football, would they get a great experience out of it?
I think, look, with what I've seen now, I think for 18, 19, 20-year-old young Croatian Australian boys, I think if you're not in an A-League environment, it's very difficult that you're going to get that chance as a young boy. You might as well come here. They've got to 20, 21 to develop. And here in Croatia, what happens is that I have to start every match with 3 players under the age of 21 in my team. So they have to play. I had one of the youngest squads in the second half of the season because every player that I brought in was 18, 19, 20. So I had a very young side. That young kids, they give you enthusiasm. They don't complain when they have to run. older players. Zašto ovo moramo? Ko će ovo više raditi? And it's a great development league for them. And I tell you, these young players that I brought in now, they didn't know what it was like to play in relegation football. So they learn a lot this year what it was like to fight for relegation. It's easy to play football when you sit middle of the table. You can't go down, you can't go up.
Yeah.
You fight to survive. You claw, you kick, you scratch. You get what you can out of every match.
Yeah.
We sort of covered that, didn't we? Yeah,
we did, and actually, Neil Kilkenny, who appeared on our sister program, Football Out West Show on Sunday, actually spoke that said one of the things Australian football needs is promotion relegation. And we've heard administrators talk about it, we've heard fans talk about it, we've had media commentators talk about it. Now we're actually hearing players talk about it, and that do or die sort of cutthroat environment breeds the best. Željko, you said you brought a lot of young players in. Were they from the local area, and how hard is it to attract players to Baška Voda? Did they come from as far as Split or Dubrovnik or Zadar or Zagreb? Where did they come from? Where did you find these players?
Mate, we ended up getting players, all these young players that weren't playing at the clubs that they were at. And so when I first came in, I had 8 foreign players here, and I got rid of them after a week. And all I said is I want young Croats. Mate, if he's Croat from Australia, if he's Croat from Canada, if he's Croat from wherever, it doesn't matter as long as they're Croats. Just bring me Croats who understand. When I get angry in Croatian, they understand exactly what I'm saying. And I've actually got one. I had one boy before Christmas from Australia, and I got another boy that come to me from before Christmas, young Christian Slunski as well. So Metkovic, Zadar, where else did they come from? Yeah, Zadar, Metkovic, Makarska. So they're all local. Split. I've got 9 or 10 from Split.
Did you drag any over the border from Chitluk or Posuše?
I got one Bosanac, but he's a local here. He's a local. He's been here for like 10 years, so he's a local. But yeah, no, we can only have 2 foreigners. So the foreign section's a little bit harder. And these young boys that are coming from Australia, as long as they're in the EU or they've got a Croatian passport, then they should give themselves a chance. You know what? They'll learn a lot. And Australia's always going to check up for them, mate. Australia ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. Now you can speak from personal experience about young Australian Croatians coming to Croatia and doing well. Your boy Oliver, goalkeeper for the under-17 national team, he's now in Croatia, and I believe at NK Trešnjevka, which is in the Croatian 3rd division up in the Središte or the Sjever or something like that. How's he going? I saw some highlights of a recent game, I think, from last weekend, and he pulled off some ripper saves against a Ponikve or someone like that from Zagreb. How's he finding it up there in Zagreb?
Well, look, again, with Ollie, it was, he was a Western Sydney Wanderers, so he was in the A-League environment, but he's playing with kids. So he's playing in the MPL2 with kids. So he's playing with kids his own age, and they don't develop, and he's not really going to get an opportunity in the A-League that young as a goalkeeper. So once they develop, you bring him here. I was actually lucky because he trained with Dinamo for the first months that he was here, and then he continued training with them 2 times a week, plus training with Trešnjak and playing for Trešnjak. And playing with men, that it actually means something. Bonuses, relegation, and, he developed as a person. The one thing I will say is that you got to be lucky that you get a club that trains properly. Not every club in the 3rd division train properly. Like, there's some really good clubs in Zagreb as well that train professionally, pay good coin, who want to go to this Jedinstvena Liga, and they're up the top. Trešnjak is down the bottom. They saved themselves just recently, but what he's learned is how to fight relegation, how to fight for your spot. When you make a mistake, hoćeš igrat or you're going to sit on the klupa. Not, I've made a mistake. Oh, don't worry, kid, you're going to play again next week. A nećeš, because the coach is going to get the sack.
Yeah. Yep. Great point. Hey, Tonch, we've got a question sitting for us in the viewers spot, mate. Do we want to go to that?
Let's go. Yeah.
So Maxi Sentic is throwing a question at you, Spider. What was it like to arrive at AC Milan for the first time, and which teammates do you keep in contact with today?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal the first day that I walked into Milanello, especially when you walk in, and I think everyone when thinks of AC Milan think of the three Flying Dutchmen, and you walk in and you see that picture of Gullit, Van Basten, and Rijkaard as soon as you walk in, and it hits you in the head. Funny enough, they won on the weekend, and I text Malda and I text Dida, who are both involved in the team at the moment, and they responded within 2 minutes of the text. So yeah, they're still in contact with them when I need them or to say hello to them or something like that.
Yeah, good stuff.
Now I was going to ask. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You're right.
Now, I was going to say, while we're on talking about some of the past and some of the great memories, now, Spider, is it true when Croatia won the World Cup? When Australia got qualified for the World Cup, I think it was in 2005, 2006, or whatever it was, and that's when I think there was like 6 Australians, Socceroos of Croatian descent. Now, there's a rumor that you got the whole Australian dressing room singing Volim Piti or something along those lines. Even the non-Croatians were singing. Now, is that true? Is there an ounce of truth in that rumor?
I can't remember that far back, mate. The stupid things I'd done when I was younger, mate. I can't remember half the things.
I would have loved to have seen John Aloisio or Harry Kewell singing Volim Piti with the rest of the Australian Croatia Socceroos. It's legendary, yeah. Zila, you've got a question to ask, yeah?
Yeah, mate. Just in regards to your influences, both from a playing and a coaching perspective, look, probably none greater than sitting around and listening to Carlo Ancelotti giving you his peace of mind, but your greatest influences in terms of playing and coaching, and also on the back of that, do you think that Aussie Croats looking for a coaching career could venture into Croatia and make a go of it?
Look, I was lucky. I played under some great managers, but yeah, when you grow up, I don't think people realise the influence that your parents have. Like my old man was top notch. He was and hard as nails, mate. Seriously, he was hard as nails. And even when I thought I played the best game ever, he always found a fault. And I think that was inspirational for me, like to always try to please him, try to play better. And then your mother's there doing your washing and making sure you're fed and developing like that. Then as you get into the professional environment, I was lucky. I had Ronnie Corrie, who was an unbelievable goalkeeper coach who I developed remarkably with, who was another one who wasn't afraid to play young players. And a lot of coaches just buckle under the pressure of playing young players, and he wasn't one. So I was lucky there. And then I come to Europe, and obviously, Ancelotti, he's a genius, but character and the way he controls the dressing room. I had a guy in Holland that was fantastic, Seth Vergosen, that no one probably even knows about him. He was a fantastic manager. And then you look at all these people that you've had and that you've learned things from in your career. Even as players, you watch other players and you watch their demeanor and their character and their personality, and it sort of molds you into the person you want to be if you take a little bit off everyone. And that's how I go about my coaching job. Now, would I recommend Aussie coaches coming to Croatia? Yes, I would. The problem is here, mate, they don't respect us. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They don't respect us. And they think da oni znaju sve, a vjeruj mi, oni nemaju fucking pojma. And that's that's a reality, because we have some really good coaches in Australia, and our education and the way we develop is very good. Here is a result-driven industry. If you do not win, you get the bullet. Mate, it's as simple as that. They will not give you time.
Yeah. Well, we spoke to one of your ex-teammates, Ante Milicic, who was on the show last week, and he said that he's hoping to catch up with you, and he's probably going to go over there for a complete and utter break, Josip, apart from some sevens on the island of Hvar. But do you reckon he might become your assistant or something there at Baška Voda, or maybe somewhere else at some other club? Could you two link up somewhere in Croatia?
Ooh,
Who knows?
Up.
Mate, Teza, is good enough to get a job in the HNL1. The problem is they will not give him a job. That's the problem. That's the problem here. But they turn around and say, "Ma vi klokani, šta vi znate, nije to kao u Australiju," and that's their mentality. That is their mentality. If you see some of the football guys, mate, I'm not being funny. You watch the HNL1, and you watch some of the football, and it's actually they are so defensive orientated that it's scary because they're so scared of losing their job.
Yeah, and they just shut up shop. Was that a similar type? Did you find that similar type of environment in Greece when you were there with Popper at Xanthi? And is that something that's prevalent throughout Europe, or is it just sort of kind of Croatia?
I don't think it's. You need time to build a system. You need time to play a certain brand of football. And if someone comes in and he's got it, and they're not used to that, they're not. I'm playing HNL3, mate. I'm playing here with the Medvedi, right? And mate, you should hear the people screaming from the grandstand when we're playing out from the back. Ma nabi dugu, šta se igrate? Because they don't know any better. They don't. Mate, that for them is not normal. I had a player from Unaxin, a stopper that come to me, and he said to me, "Treneru, mate, no one's ever taught me this. They tell me, get the ball, I nabi dugu. That's it." And mate, I feel sorry for these players. That doesn't happen in HNL1 and HNL2. You've got your Varaždins that try to play and maybe another 4 or 5 teams, but the other ones are just playing for survival.
Did that have an effect that players were like this fella from Yunak Sin? Did that actually have an effect that after the game players are coming up to you and saying, "Mate, I want a piece of it. Can I play at your team? Can I come to you? Can I trial?" Whatever the case may be. Did it start to attract a little bit of interest from the side?
Look, we can attract players because Baška's a beautiful place to live, a beautiful place to play football. The problem is here is financially, you can't compete with some of the other clubs. Some of these clubs, mate, there's guys like Gabric who played 300 games in HNL1. Mate, Zadar's got 2 stoppers that are, mate, they're quality players, but they cost. And they're not going to come to Baška Voda to play for 2,000 or 3,000 kuna. Let me give you the tip.
Mate, we could go on and on and on. Josip, have you got any last questions?
No, mate. I'd just like to thank you for sharing your time and that insight. It really is. It's great to see you going over there and venturing out and expanding your horizons in that environment, but also sharing that perspective for the young viewers to see about players who are looking for opportunities outside of the A-League structure. But even so, I know you mentioned that the coaches will find it hard because they won't be listened to, but you never know. You might find some tough character like yourself who'd want to come in there and to shake it up a little bit.
There are good coaches here. Don't get me wrong. There's some good coaches here. I know that really want to play a good brand of football. But at the end of the day, if you don't go and you don't risk and you don't take a chance, you're never going to know. You're never going to get it. And young players, I always believe they have up until 21, 22 to create a professional career for himself. I think in Australia, a lot of people put too much pressure on young kids that they're ready to play by 19. They're kids. They're not ready. They're actually not ready. They need to develop, and they need to see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. What a wonderful insight into what a young player should do or what a young player should aspire to. ŽELJKO, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to hearing some great things coming from Croatia, or when you get back over here to Australia eventually. That whatever you decide to do next season, we wish you all the very best. But in the meantime, go out and get some rays. Go out and enjoy yourself when the Buddha subsides, and enjoy that coastal lifestyle down at Baška Voda.
Hey, the boys, thanks. Enjoy.
Hey, the Bog. Hvala lijepo.
Good on you, ŽELJKO. ŽELJKO Kalac, very entertaining character, very, very insightful, very informative insight into the truth. The truth is, if you're going to make it, you're gonna really have to experience not just the highs. You're going to have to be prepared to experience the lows, and it's a tough gig. But it makes his achievement all the more incredible. That in that, against all adversity, against all the difficulties, and the saving grace for him was that he's a big Hrvat.
There you go. So if you want to be a big Hrvatina, make sure that you're prepared to go to clubs like Baška Voda, who'll take you in with open arms. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There you go. We're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up tonight's show. And we've also got a little bit of progress scores as well and some scores updates. So we'll go through that as well. Don't go away, folks.
Are you one of those people that just pays their business insurance each year? Insurance is the last thing we want to worry about when running our business day to day, unless there is a claim that needs to be made, right? And once we have our insurance in place, we just keep renewing it. We just find it too hard to shop around. Does that sound like you? Well, at Your Business Insurance, we could save you money and get you a better deal. We'll review your current insurance and determine if you're getting the most favourable offers from the insurance market. Call Your Business Insurance on 1300 767 456.
Welcome back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. We're about to wrap things up, but Josipa, you've got a few final scores and updates and progress scores and what you're not.
Yeah. In NPL Victoria, unfortunately, Melbourne Knights couldn't get over the line. They lost 2-1 to Oakley Cannons. That last 10 minutes was all Knights, mate. They were going gangbusters, but they just Oakley just kept getting numbers behind the ball. Ivo Spanicek, thanks for checking in, mate. I think he's supposed to write Wollongong, Croatia. It says Willoughby, so I don't think there's a Willoughby, Croatia. But he's written in there 5-2 win over Olympic. Now, Olympics in top spot, Tunch, over in Illawarra Premier League.
Oh, wow.
So that's a massive result.
It's a massive result. Was that a catch-up game, was it? Or was that a game played on the weekend?
That was the water polo. Oh, sorry, no, they're back on the deck.
Water polo.
No, good awesome. Good on them there, and thanks, Eva, for checking in with us, mate. We always appreciate our fans checking in with anything that we haven't covered off.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much for being a part of tonight's show, folks. It's been an absolute pleasure. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. We're back on deck again next Tuesday, and then the following week we'll be back on the Wednesday, our usual time slot. So next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m, then in 2 weeks' time, it's back to a Wednesday. Apologies for the chopping and changing. It just comes down to midweek availability, and it is a tough one. Josipa, thanks again for all your input this week, and I look forward to hopefully a little bit more action from the Gold Coast over the weekend, and next week we'll then have a lot more to talk about as well in the weekly roundup.
And good luck to Sydney Croatia tomorrow night against Rockdale.
Absolutely. We want to see an all-Croatian derby in the Australia Cup in the next round in New South Wales. Folks, thank you for once again being a part of tonight's show. All the very, very best. And if you'd like to become a member of the Oz Cro Soccer Show, www.patreon.com/Oz Cro Soccer Show. There we go. Good night. Laku noć.